For the first time in a couple of weeks, the Buffalo Bills have suffered their third loss of the season. But good news, we're in the playoffs. Even better news, we're AFC East champions for the fifth straight season in a row. With that said, let's talk Rams and Bills right now on this episode of Bills Postgame. Let's get rolling. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. Bills 42, Rams 44. Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the Monday edition of Bills Postgame. This is coming to you live in the evening. We're going to actually drop this on a Monday evening, but we are recording this on a Sunday evening while keeping tabs on Sunday Night Football, which is the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. That game on the go right now. If the Chargers win, that helps the Bills in seeding in the playoff and gives them a chance to possibly get that number one seed that we want. But a loss for the Bills and a win for the Chiefs, just like we saw a win for the Steelers, and that number one seed, well, we can just kind of forget about it. The upside is, despite us coming into this game 10-2, and the Rams coming into the game 7-6, even though we lost this game, we have the tiebreaker, Bills Mafia, over Pittsburgh in terms of strength of schedule. So our hopes for the number one seed might be dashed. But remember what Coach McDermott said last week and the week before, even after the bye week. It's not the finish line. This is not our finish line, not our Super Bowl. And Josh reiterated at the end of the last victory speech we had. Josh reiterated, like Coach said, don't let this be the finish line. We got something to chase. Let's be complacent, and we got something to chase. As always, he ended off with win on 3, 1, 2, 3, win. We don't have a victory speech that we're going to get to, but stay tuned because I'll try to get that going for you. Maybe if we want to go inside the Rams locker room for a victory speech from there. So far, that's not in the plan on this evening's edition of Bills Postgame. Happy Victory Monday to you, Los Angeles Rams fans. The Los Angeles Rams defeated the Buffalo Bills 44-42. Very close game. The Bills were down by 10 at the half, and they unfortunately unable to pull off a comeback. But we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. As always, head coach of the Buffalo Bills is Sean McDermott. The head coach of the Los Angeles Rams, well, let's see. It was Matthew Stafford in at quarterback for the Rams against Josh Allen in at quarterback for Buffalo. As always, the Los Angeles Rams are head coached by Sean McVay. And Sean McVay was going against Sean McDermott, head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Quarterbacks, as mentioned, Josh Allen taking on Matthew Stafford, who was our quarterback in this one for the Los Angeles Rams, who sit third in the NFC West, as we talk to you now. The Rams defeat the Bills 44-42. And we're going to break it all down for you in just a matter of moments. But first, we're going to take a quick word from our friends over at Cincinnati Radio. And I would say that we'll take this word from Sienna and Ali's combined podcast they work on, or the podcast that they work on together, Spicy Techie. So I'm going to send it over to Sienna as we take our first break of the program. When we return, we'll break this down half by half, get to the game stats after the second half, breakdown. If we have time, we will do a Bills standout of the game. We are going to do the play of the game. And we are going to do game balls of the game. We are not going to do, but it will be time permitting, but I don't really plan on doing it. It's time permitting though. We may go through Week 14's NFL games so far this week in Week 14. We may do that, but as of right now, I'm going to send it over to Sienna as we take a word from her radio station podcast, Spicy Techie, with host of Broadcast Map, Ali Musa. Sienna, take it away, and we'll come back after that word. Stay with us.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Thank you very much, Sienna. And Ali and Sienna provide some great content on Spicy Techie. I'm going to get into the latest episodes that they have just released on Spicy Techie as best that I can. If you haven't checked out the show yet, I invite you to go check it out. I will have a link in the description of the episode to check out Spicy Techie on Spotify. And also, you maybe want to check out, let's say you don't like audio as much, or you do like audio, but you prefer possibly being on YouTube. I'll have a link to the Broadcast Map YouTube channel, and you can see all the latest Broadcast Map episodes when they become available or when Broadcast Map goes live on the YouTube channel. With that said, we got a game to break down. Matthew Stafford versus Josh Allen, and Sean McVay versus Sean McDermott. The Battle of the Seans, shall we say. It's the Battle of the Seans, shall we say. You had McDermott versus McVay. But with that said, let's jump to it. Here's our first half breakdown, starting as always in the first quarter. Bills coming into this game 10-2, 6-6 are the Los Angeles Rams. If they end up winning this game, they go to 7-6. If the Bills lose this game, they go to 10-3. Good news for the Bills. They already won the division, so no one can touch the division in the AFC East. But enough about that. Let's get to the game. So, it all began with Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams. Yeah, we're going to go with Kyren Williams. You know what? We're going to go with K. Williams. Mr. Williams, if I pronounce your last name wrong, Kyren Williams, hopefully I have that right. If I pronounce it wrong, Mr. Williams, I apologize. We're going to go with K. Williams just to avoid pronunciation error. And K. Williams gets things started. He had a day, by the way. He goes on the ground for 3-yard touchdown. The pat by Jay Cardi. We're just going to go with JK. But I'll pick that up as we go along. But the extra point by the... There we go. Joshua Cardi. Okay, Joshua, if I pronounce your last name wrong, I apologize. But all that being said, Joshua's extra point, up and good. He did miss one, but made the next couple. His longest was a 22-yard field goal. And the only field goal he would hit in the game out of the 6 extra point attempts he would get. Missing 1, but hitting 5. The first one, in the first quarter, he would hit. So it's 7-0, Rams on top of the Bills. Bills get right back up. And the Rams get caught for offside on the defensive side. But Josh Allen does it himself. And goes up the middle for a 1-yard touchdown. Penalty on the Rams is declined. Extra point by Tyler Bass is up and good. We're in a 7-7 tie after 1 quarter of play. Second quarter we go. Joshua K. with his only field goal that he would have. A 22-yarder. Up and good. Rams go up 7-10. 10-7. They go to 7 and they go up 10-7. Bills down by a field goal, down by 3. Touchdown! Rams on the Bills drive that was stalled out to be a punt. Rams having none of the punt. Sam Martin punt. Oh, it's blocked by J.H. J.H. of the Los Angeles Rams. He blocks it. It's recovered by Long of the Rams. H. Long of the Rams. And returned all the way to the Buffalo. It's returned all the way to the house from the Buffalo 22-yard line, all the way to the house for a 22-yard touchdown recovery. Extra point by Joshua. Up and good. It's 17-7, 10-point game in favor of the Rams. Josh and the Bills realizing their mistake there when they were blocked in a punt by Sam Martin. And this time, Josh is able to find Ty Johnson for not 10 yards, not 15 yards, not 20 yards, but get this, 41 yards. 41 yards. He finds Ty Johnson, who leaves the Rams in the dust, scoring a 41-yard touchdown. It's now 17-13, Rams in favor of the Rams. Rams still ahead, 17-13. Extra point by Tyler Bass, up and good. Now it's 17-14. Uh-oh, here come the Bills. But Puka Nuka says, Puka Nuka, we're going to go with PN. PN says, bring that on. And he goes on the ground for 4 yards. Joshua K. Extra point is up and in the books. It's 24. It's 24-14. Rams over the Bills at the half. All right. The third quarter and the fourth quarter got interesting. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down that interesting third quarter to fourth quarter of play. But after 2 quarters of play and a half of play, it's the Buffalo Bills 14, the Los Angeles Rams 24. Rams leading at the half by 10. The remainder of the game breakdown in the second half when Bills postgame continues as we break down a crazy second half that, for me, looked like it was going to be a thriller, whether it was going to be a victory Monday for the Bills or a victory Monday for the Rams, which it turned out to be. But dang, was this one close. And it was so close, you could have just thought an eyelash of the football would determine who was going to win this game. All the same, next week against the Lions for the Bills is very crucial. And it could come down to who wins that game as to who wins the AFC conference. And in the NFC, who wins the division unless that has already been claimed. But we'll talk about that more during the recap next week after the Lions game. Same time as today's game, 4:25 p.m. Eastern, 3:25 p.m. Central. And just to reiterate here before we take a break, I oopsed on the next recording for the PWHL recap. Our next recording is after the Minnesota Frost host the Ottawa Charge at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, not 6 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So just wanted to clarify that for you guys before we took this break. Speaking of that, let's take a break. And when we come back after this word from our good buddy Thomas over at On the Ice and Behind the Benches, plus a special word detailing what's coming for you on Friday, December 20th, 2024, but is pre-recorded as of this week, this Friday or Thursday, rather the Thursday, or as early as Wednesday this week. We have our special Season 3 finale that will drop Friday, December 20th, 2024. It's our 29th episode as we close out Season 3 after 29 episodes. More on that as we hit the end of this program. With that said, we'll take that special word and we'll take a word from Thomas. More on Bill's postgame when we continue. Looking for a good hockey podcast that covers your favorite hockey teams and mine? Check out On the Ice and Behind the Benches, where we chat about our favorite hockey teams from puck drop to the last play of the action. To learn more, follow the On the Ice and Behind the Benches Facebook page. Search On the Ice and Behind the Benches. Hi, everyone. Scott McGregor here. Oh, what's that? What's that? Do you hear what I hear? Do you hear what I hear? Come out and join us for the Season 3 Sports for Beginners Christmas Party Finale this December on Sports for Beginners. We'll talk about everything from our top 10 episodes, our podcast wrap up, a little bit of sports talk mixed in. Plus, I would love to know what your favorite holiday traditions are. So come on out and join us. Come on out and join us. Actually, better than that, come spend the holidays with us here on Sports for Beginners. It's certainly going to be a great show. Sports for Beginners Season 3 Finale Christmas Party Extravaganza coming this December on Sports for Beginners. It will be a pre-recorded program, so make sure you tune in. And if you'd like to be involved, send an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. Happy holidays, everybody! From all of us here at Sports for Beginners. Join us this Friday, upcoming, a Friday from this Friday, for our special 1 hour, 29th episode, Season 3 finale. It's a Christmas special, but because we don't have rights to music, especially Christmas music, for that matter, I will provide you with some of my favorite Christmas music. I'll provide you with some of my favorite Christmas traditions, and you can get in on the fun as well. Send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com, or if you're on Discord, send us through Discord at Sports for Beginners. I'll provide a link later, and a link actually also will be provided in our description of the episode. But send us your favorite holiday traditions under our general page or our announcement page. Preferably use the general page if you're on Discord. And just provide us with some of your favorite Hanukkah/Christmas, or rather, whatever holiday you celebrate during this special time of giving. Your favorite holiday traditions that you still celebrate or would love to get back to celebrating and doing, rather. Whether that's putting up the tree, opening Christmas gifts or Hanukkah gifts when the time comes. Any of that. Just send it into the general area of our Sports for Beginners Discord server. And you can even place a comment in the episode on the day of its launch, or launch, I should say, not lunch. Launch. On the day of its launch. You can even post a comment in the YouTube channel when it becomes available on YouTube, and when it also becomes available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. A lot that we could have coming for you in Season 4. But before we get any further, and before we get off topic, it's time we continue on breaking down this 44-42 loss to the Los Angeles Rams, the first loss in a couple of weeks, and first loss since the bye week this season. You kind of had a feeling it was coming. The Bills hadn't lost a game since destroying Jacksonville 47-10 in prime time, mind you, on a Monday Night Football. Oh, by the way, they had a Monday Night Football game. Sorry, not Monday Night Football game. They had a Sunday Night Football game the next week. And for 2 weeks straight, the Bills lost those games. They lost to Stephon Diggs and the Houston Texans 23 to 20. 23 to 20 was the final. That week, that was in week 5. In week 4, we lost 35 to 10 to King Henry and Superman Lamar Jackson. But since then, we pulled off victories all the way to the bye week. We beat the Jets 23-20, the Titans 34-10, Seahawks 31-10, swept the Miami Dolphins, beating them in the second round of 2 between the Dolphins and the Bills after winning 31-10 early on in week number 2. We beat the Dolphins 30-27 in the last week we played the Dolphins. We also picked up a 30-20 victory against the Indianapolis Colts. And then right before the bye week, and then last week after the bye, we picked up a 30-21 W against the nemesis Kansas City Chiefs. And that's a team that's had our number for a while. We also, as mentioned last week, we beat the San Francisco 49ers 35-10. And that's the first final, besides this one, where we've beaten a team 35 points to 10. Of course, we didn't actually beat the 49ers by 35 points, but our final score, once again, was 35-10. So the Bills have lost their first game since losing to Baltimore and Houston back in weeks 4 and 5. So with that said, let's just get back to it, shall we? Here we go. As I said before the break, we were at half and it was 14-24 in favor of the Rams. The Rams go up 31-14 on a K. Williams rushing touchdown for 7 yards. Pat by Joshua K. is up and good. It's 31-14 Rams. Rams up by 10 at the half. Now their lead is 31-14. Are the Rams going to blow out the Bills? For me, it certainly seemed that way, because now the Bills are down by 17. But guess what? Josh Allen finds Kale Shakir for a 51-yard touchdown. Yeah, you thought the Ty Johnson touchdown was interesting at 41 yards? Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Josh threw a dime to Kale Shakir, 51-yarder, and the Bills back down by 10 as Tyler Bass connects on the extra point. It's now 31-21. Bills back down by 10. Weren't they just down by 17? Yes, they were. But they got a quick 7 to make sure that lead got back to 10. And that deficit was back to 10. Not for long. Matthew Stafford deep to Cooper Kupp for 17 yards. And a Rams touchdown. Rasul Douglas was injured during the play. We also saw Robertson of the LA Rams return to the game. So we saw Robinson return to the game. So he was injured in the game, but did come back. And anywho, after 3 quarters of play, it's 38-21. The Rams now up 38-21. So how much are the Bills down by right now? Back down by 17. Wow, the Bills tried really hard to make sure they got even very quickly. Once again, they're down by 10 after Josh Allen connects with Mac Hollins for his next touchdown of the game. Josh had a day despite not getting picked off, and he was not sacked. The Rams couldn't get to him. Matthew Stafford, same thing. The Bills defense couldn't get to him. No sack. Anyways, with this touchdown by Buffalo, it was actually Josh who scored it again. So Josh scored 3 times on the ground and 3 times in the air. Sounds a lot like Sunday Night Football, right? It sounds a lot like Sunday Night Football, right? Well, let's just see how it panned out. Josh's 1-yard touchdown makes it 28-38. Rams still ahead by 10 points. 38-28. And Tyler Bass making the extra point up and good. So what was an 11-point game if Tyler was unable to make this extra point became a 10-point game because he was able to make the extra point. And it's now 38-28 in favor of the Rams. Speaking of Mac Hollins, once again, so Josh has already connected with Kale Shakir, 51-yarder. He also connected early on in the game with Ty Johnson. Later, this is in the 4th quarter, 38-28 is the score in favor of the Rams. Bills have the ball again after a Rams drive stalls out and doesn't lead to points. You really could have used a takeaway in this game because there were no takeaways whatsoever. I guess you could count the block punt as a takeaway, but that was a punt that was blocked and then scored. Touchdown. So I don't know if that counts, but regardless. Bills find a way to cut that deficit from 10. Finally down. It's now, thanks to a 21-yard pass from Josh Allen to Mac Hollins, it is now Rams 38, Bills 34, but Tyler Bass, extra point, up and good. Uh-oh, here comes Buffalo against this 6-6 Rams team. 7-6 could be in trouble. Bills down by 3. Matthew Stafford says, "Let me fix that." And he does so. Getting the ball to PN for a 19-yard touchdown. Oh, but this is where Joshua, his kick is no good on the extra point attempt. So the Rams will only get 44. Rams trying to get away from the Bills. But a 3-point lead for the Rams becomes a 9-point lead for the Rams, as the Bills only trail by 9 after the miss PAT by Joshua K. Joshua K misses the PAT on the Stafford touchdown to PN. The touchdown pass to TN. Alec Anderson reported in as eligible. Penalty on the Buffalo Bills, but the Bills will get a touchdown here as Josh Allen scores for the 3rd time this game in the ground game. He scores for the 3rd time this game on the ground to count 6 touchdowns by Josh in this game. 3 of them on the ground by himself. 3 of them in the air. 1 to Mac Hollins, 1 to Kale Shakir, and 1 to Ty Johnson. Penalty was on Deion Dawkins. It was enforced for 15 yards. Unnecessary roughness between downs. Extra point by Tyler Bass. Up and in the books. Bills have to go on an onside kick. They do so, but unfortunately they don't get it. And the Rams go on to win by, guess what? Our final score is 44-42. So the Rams escape Buffalo and beat the Bills by a safety, 44-42. Wow. It doesn't get much closer than that. It doesn't get much closer than that. If you're not on the edge of your seat You were certainly on the edge of your seat, Bills fans and Ram fans. All game long. And this is why you don't blink in football, or any sport for that matter, because any moment the team that's trailing could start to build momentum. And when that happens, if you blink, in the blink of an eye, the game can change from you leading to you being behind. The Bills played from behind all game long, but they almost pulled off a comeback. When we return, as we're going to take a break now, when we return, game stats of the game, I'll give you my play of the game, and we'll get to the game balls of the game. Keeping tabs on that game on Sunday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs on top of the Chargers 6-0 right now on the strength of 2 field goals. Ahead of the game stats, we'll touch on Thursday night and a couple of the games from Sunday. And after the game balls of the game, before we take a break, we'll touch on elsewhere in the Sunday action and even set you up for tonight's game as we talk to you here on Bills Post Game on a Sunday night, but this is coming out on a Monday night. We'll set you up for the Bengals and the Cowboys. So that's still to come. And that will probably happen in our last segment when we set up Bills Lions, which will be our topic of conversation next week. That's a huge week for the Bills. And you'd like to think the matchups against the Jets and the Patriots don't matter, considering the fact that we already won the AFC East. But when it comes to seeding, those matchups might matter. Those matchups after the Lions game might just matter. So I digress. That said, we're going to take a break. When we return, what else went on in the NFL this week? Our game stats, plus who is the recipient of a game ball? Want to get it on the action for Bills post-game stuff on Discord? Head on over to Bills post-game show interactions. Again, that's Bills post-game show interactions on Discord. Or send an email to sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. All right. With that said, time now for a break. When we continue, everything I just mentioned, so stick with us.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Cincinnati Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Cincinnati Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Cincinnati Radio.
The Bills lose their third game of the season after a lot of Victory Mondays and Victory Days when they have played on different days. They played on Sunday Night Football out of the bye week, so that was a Victory Monday. Before the bye week, they played in Buffalo against the Kansas City Chiefs. That was a Victory Monday on a Sunday. We had a Victory Monday on Sunday through the Colts. Victory Monday against the Dolphins. Victory Monday against the Seahawks, barely. Victory Monday against the Titans. And we did have a Victory Tuesday when the Bills defeated the Jets for the first time this season. They'll play once again a little later this season. But in a few weeks' time, we'll tell you why in a second. With that being said, it's 10-3 the record. The Bills are in the playoffs, having clinched the AFC East in Sunday Night Football's game last week. Looking for another Victory Monday today. Not the case. But it's all right. It's okay. Possible Victory Monday could happen against the Detroit Lions, but not the case today at SoFi Stadium. I believe that is where this game was going down. It is time for our game stats of the game, but it is also time, and yes, I say also time, it is also time for us to talk about our game ball of the game. And before we get to that, just like before we're going to get to the game stat, I want to take a look at what went down so far in Week 14 this season. Let's start with primetime. Of course, one more primetime game on the slate this week. And that's the game we're getting you ready for, between the Bengals and the Cowboys. As we sit here, those records are 4-8 for the Bengals and 5-7 for the Dallas Cowboys. The Detroit Lions pick up a thriller of a W as they beat the Green Bay Packers 34-31. On the bye week this week, the Broncos, Colts, Commanders, Patriots, Ravens, and Texans. Elsewhere in Sunday action, besides our game, the Minnesota Vikings pull off a 40-burger as they beat the Atlanta Falcons 42-21. In Pittsburgh, that was a game we needed a win from the Cleveland Browns, not to be the case, as the Pittsburgh Steelers improved to 10-3. The Cleveland Browns, with the loss, are eliminated from playoff contention as they lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers 27-14. 22-16 the final in Philadelphia. as the Philadelphia Eagles defeat the Carolina Panthers 22-16. Close one in New York between the Giants and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints come out with a W, 14-11 over the G-Men Giants. The Seattle Seahawks beat the Arizona Cardinals 30-18. 10-6, the Jaguars improved to 3-10. The Titans are below 3-10. But the Jaguars beat the Titans 10-6. This week, Miami forces overtime, and guess what? Happy Victory Monday to you, Dolphins Nation. Fins win 32-26 in a thriller in Miami. San Francisco picking up a 38-13 win over the Chicago Blackhawks. Chicago Blackhawks. I meant to say the Chicago Bears 38-13. San Francisco 49ers picking up a 38-13 win over the Chicago Bears. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to say the Blackhawks, but I just blurred that out. Sorry about that. And wouldn't you know it, before we even get to the game stats, I've already gone through the entire schedule of games that have gone down on Sunday. So that's, you know what, we're on a roll, so let's just finish it off. Let's just finish it off, because this one that's going on right now in Kansas City, that one has yet to go final. And Kansas City, once again, they're in the red zone. Let's see, is it going to be another field goal? We're going to find out. But the only other final as of yet is the Buccaneers taking down the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are now 2-11. And just like the Los Angeles Rams, the Buccaneers are 7-6. And they currently defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 28-13. So not too many blowouts. This week in week 14, we'll see what happens in Sunday Night Football. Touchdown Kansas City. That's going to become 13-0 unless the Kansas City kicker is unable to make the extra point. And he was able to make the extra point. So it's 13-0. Kansas City over the Chargers. The Chargers better get their groove together. Otherwise, this is going to be a long night in Arrowhead. All right. Speaking of which, we've waited long enough. Let's get to it so that we have some time to get into the game balls of the game. We don't have time, unfortunately, to get to a Bills standout of the game, but that means that coming up in the next segment, we will wrap this one up with what's next for the Rams, what is next for the Bills, and much more. I'll even set you up for Bengals, Cowboys, and provide you with my pick to win between those two squads. Once again, the record's 4-8 for the Bengals And for the Cowboys, they are 5-7. Just to remind you of the records, 4-8 for the Bengals, 5-7 for the Cowboys. So one of these teams is going to come out victorious and improve to, in the Cowboys' case, 6-7, or they're going to go to 5-8 if they lose, and 5-8 if the Bengals win, 4-9 if they lose. We'll know those answers by the time the game goes final. But all that's still to come in this next break. Before we get there, before we run out of time here, because I think we're going to run out of time to do a game ball of the game. But before we run out of time here for this segment, let's talk about our stats. And, we talk about time of possession a lot, but I'm just not going to do that tonight on this episode of Bills Post Game. But you know what? Here we go. The Bills had the ball for 21 minutes and 30 seconds. The Rams, 38 minutes and 30 seconds. In total first downs, the Bills had 25. 5 first downs on penalties, 6 rushing first downs, 14 passing first downs. The Rams had 28 total first downs, with 3 coming on penalties, 10 coming on the ground, and 15 coming from the passing game. On third down efficiency, the Bills, 5 of 9, did not go for it on fourth down, so they are 0-0 on that front. The Rams are 11 of 15 on third down efficiency. They did go for it on fourth down once and got it, so they are perfect, 1 for 1. The Rams finished the game in total yardage with 457 yards. 457 yards. 457 yards is what I said. I'm not sure why I keep saying 47 yards. 457 yards is what they would finish with. The Bills, meanwhile, would finish with 445 yards total, with 54 plays called, averaging 8.2 yards per play. Josh threw for 342 yards, completed 22 on 37 of his completion attempts, 3 of them being touchdowns in the air. Averaging 9.2 yards per pass. Matthew Stafford, the passing yards for him on 72 plays, 6.3 yards per play. He threw for 320 yards, completed 23 of 30 of his passing attempts, averaged 10.7 yards per pass. No sack yards lost because neither defense was able to get to either quarterback. So the offensive line for both sides doing a great job of protecting their quarterback. On the ground, the Bills end the game with 103 rushing yards, 17 rushes. Hey, that's Josh's number. Well, in all seriousness, they average 6.1 yards per rush. In the red zone and goal to go efficiency, the Bills perfect, 3 for 3 on both of those. 7 penalties for 59 yards for the Bills. Not much to say. Turnovers, fumbles, interceptions thrown. And defensive special teams, well, that's kind of a lie, because the special teams did score a touchdown on that block punt, but I guess that doesn't count. In any case, nine penalties for 99 yards for the Rams in this game. They were 5 of 6 in the red zone, 2 of 3 in goal-to-goal efficiency. So they didn't do too bad either in the red zone or in goal-to-goal efficiency. Each team scored 5 touchdowns each, but the Bills had 6 touchdowns, 3 of them on the ground by Josh Allen, 3 of them in the air from Josh Allen, 1 to Mac Hollins, 1 to Kale Shakir, 1 to Ty Johnson. So each receiver I just mentioned, Mac Hollins, Kale Shakir, and Ty Johnson, picked up those 3 touchdown passes by Josh Allen, 2 passing touchdowns for Matthew Stafford, 3 rushing touchdowns, 5 touchdowns total for the Rams, 6 touchdowns total for Josh Allen and the Bills. All right. Quickly here. Return yards, 34 for the Bills. Only on kickoff return, 2 yards from the kickoff. No, sorry, 2 attempts from the kickoff, 34 yards. For the Rams, they had 90 return yards, including a punt block, the one opportunity they would get, for 8 yards. In 3 attempts on the kickoff, they scored 82 yards. No interception yards, because no interceptions were thrown, and no safeties in the game. No fumbles lost, no interceptions thrown, equal no turnovers. So no turnovers in this ball game. All right, well, the Sunday Night Football game is at halftime, and it's a Kansas City affair, 13-0 at the half. When we come back, Bills postgame wraps it up. What's next for the Rams? What's next for the Bills? How important is this game between the Lions and the Bills? You'll get my thoughts on that. And we wrap it up by sending you out with our shout song, even though the Bills lost this game. We're still going to do it regardless of the win or the loss. We're still going to play shout, even if they win or they lose. But all that aside, that's coming up in a little bit as we wrap up with me setting you up with my pick for Bengals Cowboys on Monday Night Football to wrap up Week 14. And then, of course, before we get to shout, I will provide you with our sign-off to send us to shout. With that said, we'll take 30 seconds. When we come back after 30 seconds, we will wrap this one up. Stay with us.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
PWHL action continues on Sports for Beginners when we have completed our season 3 of the podcast. As bonus content, we'll continue to move the podcast with more coverage of Penguins postgame, more coverage of Bills postgame, even into the postseason, because we know the Bills will be playing in the postseason. And our PWHL action will continue. Next broadcast for us is after the international break. Where we will see the Minnesota Frost, the defending Walter Cup champion Minnesota Frost, take on the Ottawa Charge. That's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that game. One other game on tonight before that international break. We talked about it in the recap of the program when we did the Scepters and the Frost. One other game on tonight, that was the Fleet versus the Sirens, and the Fleet pick up the dub 4-2. The final at the Tsonga Center, where the game was being played. So now it's an international break, and our coverage of PWHL recap will continue on Thursday, December 19th, 2024. Game time is 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. As I had mentioned over the course of the program, I kind of butchered that during the Scepters Frost recap, and I apologize for that. So glad I was able to make good on reiterating that the correct way here on Bill's postgame. With that said, we have hit the end of the program here. So very quickly, we're going to give a game ball. And for me, for Buffalo, I'm going to give it to Amari Cooper. 26 yards was his longest catch. But Amari Cooper, 95 yards, 6 catches on 14 targets. Surprised he didn't catch every single ball. But hey, you're going to have games like that where you don't catch every single ball. I'm just happy the Bills were able to avoid, at worst case scenario, a pick in this game. Same can be said for the Rams, and that's why my player of the game for the Rams is going to go to my game ball of the game. And it's going to go to their quarterback, Matthew Stafford. I thought Stafford was playing really well. Josh played well as well. I like the 3 touchdowns on the ground. Would have preferred a couple of James Cook touchdowns if possible. But hey, you do what you got to do. Matthew Stafford and Amari Cooper, the recipients of game balls of the game for this game. So with that, that brings us to what's next for Buffalo and what's next for the Rams. Let's start with what's next for the Rams. The Rams finish the rest of this season with 3 divisional games. 2 of them are to be announced games at time. But they're in a short week, this week and next week, as they will play the San Francisco 49ers to kick off next week in San Francisco. 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time is the time of the game on December 12th, 2024. Then they'll take on the Jets, 1 p.m. Eastern in New York, and they will wrap up their season at home with their season finales of the season just before New Year's Eve on Sunday against the Cardinals in Los Angeles. And then on my birthday, when everybody's playing on January the 5th, the Seahawks are in town in LA to close the season out. Rams are 7-6 heading into that game on Monday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers, and the Niners right now are 6-7. So you've got the 6-7 Niners against the 7-6 Rams. That ought to be a good one. As for Buffalo, our conversation of Bills post-game, that's why we do this. Division games the rest of the way. But first, a stop in Detroit to take on the Lions. In Detroit, Michigan. 4:25 p.m. Eastern is the game time. We will have you covered here. Same time tonight as we did today. After the Rams game. And then we'll see where things take us for Patriots, Bills in Buffalo the week after next week, which is the Lions. Then the Jets are in town. Both games 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS, but check your local listenings for those games. And the Patriots will host the Bills, as the Bills are in their road finale on my birthday, January the 5th, 2025. Of course, that stuff is another topic for another time, but on that day, January 5th, 2025, which is a to-be-announced time, we will once again see the Patriots for the last time this season. Have the Patriots made the playoffs? The answer is no. No. I don't think they have. And I'm just going to check the score thing here as we prepare to get you ready now for Monday Night Football, which is how we're wrapping up here. But first of all, Josh Allen becomes the first player in NFL history to have 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in a single game in this loss. Very, very nicely done by Josh, despite the outcome. All right. Enough wasting time. Shout is coming up in just a second, but I want to provide you with my pick for Monday Night Football. And we've gone over what's next for the Bills and what's next for the Rams. So before we get to it, how important is the Bills' win against the Lions? It's very important. Yes, the Bills are in the playoffs. We like that. And yes, just to double check, the Patriots, among the Jets, are also, as I said, they are not in playoff contention. They have been eliminated, as have the Jaguars, Titans, and the Browns. The Raiders are also a team eliminated. So right now it comes down to Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Houston, Denver, LA, and of course, when I say LA, I don't mean the Rams, I mean the Chargers. Because already clinched a playoff spot are the Buffalo Bills. They're in, they win the division, and that's why they're in the playoffs. And the Kansas City Chiefs have clinched a playoff spot. They haven't exactly clinched their division yet. But they can also clinch the number 1 overall seed in the AFC with a win against the Chargers. And that's something Bills Mafia does not want to do, or does not want to happen. So with that said, our next conversation is the Lions and the Bills. Before we get there, however, before we get there, who do I have to win Monday Night Football between the Cowboys and the Bengals? You know, I like the way Joe Burrow has been playing as of late when he's able to get wins. But I think this is a very crucial win for both teams. So if I had to pick anybody to win this game, give me the Bengals 31-10 over the boys. I don't think Joe Burrow is going to necessarily beat out Cooper Rush, who is the quarterback now of the Cowboys for Dak Prescott, because Prescott is out or injured, or he might have been traded. I don't know what the situation is with them and Dak Prescott, but give me Joe Burrow and the Bengals at 31-10 to win Monday Night Football. So that's my prediction and my pick for Monday Night Football this week. As I said, short week for the Rams. They are in action on Thursday Night Football. Rams fans, savor the moment of this 44-22 victory. 44-42 victory, on your Monday. Savor the victory. Savor the moment. Because it goes by fast. You're back at it on Thursday night with the Niners. Savor the moment. Because it goes by fast. Same thing for Bills fans. Today may have not been our day. And this is, again, coming out to you on a Monday. But we're talking about Sunday stuff. By the time you hear this, the game between the Chargers and the Chiefs will be final. But all that said, savor the moment. Rams fans, enjoy your victory Monday. And Dolphin fans, enjoy your victory Monday too. Hope you guys enjoy it. Bills fans, don't lose hope on the Bills just yet. We're in the playoffs, and there's still an opportunity. Even if the Chiefs win, there could still be an opportunity for us to go and take that number 1 seed right from them. So let's keep that positivity going. As always, I'd like to thank you for joining us here on Bills Postgame. Have a great night, everybody. My name is Scott McGregor, and this has been a presentation of Bills Postgame, Bills Football on Sports for Beginners. As I said, I am Scott McGregor. Go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again. Same time, same place, right after Bills versus Lions. Let's see if the Bills can bounce back and avoid going 10-4. But even if they do, they've still got some AFC matchups to do, including 2 games against the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. Both of those teams, by the way, are eliminated from playoff contention. So with that said, it is time for the shout song to take us out. As I said, go Bills, and I look forward to catching up with you again real soon. Shout, it's time to take us out. Bills lose it 42, 41, 44, 42. And I wish I had time to break this news, but we just don't have the time. This is baseball news, but we just don't have the time. Bills lose it 44-42. Go Bills. I look forward to catching up with you again real soon. Shout, I've delayed you too long. Time for me to let you do the rest of the talking. We'll see you after Bills and Lions. That's next time on Bills Postgame. Until then, shout, I delayed you for too long. Now, the floor is yours.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen. on. Come on and shout. Yeah. Buffalo's happening now. We're on the move now. The Bills are happening now. They're making it happen now. We've got the spirit, a lot of spirit, yeah. We've got the spirit. Just watch it happen now. Hey, let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. The Bills make me wanna.
Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.